Next up, Apple introduces first 8-core MacBook Pro. This sort of happened quietly. It's not a major update. It's just basically the MacBook Pro getting the 8th and 9th generation Intel Core processors, bringing 8 cores to the MacBook Pro for the first time. They say this is 40% more performance than a 6-core MacBook Pro, making it the fastest Mac notebook ever. These new processors combined with powerful graphics, the brilliant and colorful Retina display, Apple's words, super fast SSDs, and Apple T2 security chip, all-day battery life, and macOS make MacBook Pro the world's best Pro notebook. That's all from Apple. That's their words, not mine. Anyway, there's a new version of the 13-inch as well as the 15-inch model. It kind of a moot thing for me because I've switched over recently. I used to regularly upgrade to whatever the latest and greatest MacBook Pro was, but after having issues with the keyboards, it was I haven't looked back. So
apparently they made some changes on the keyboard.
Yeah, but they've been saying that for how long, Will? They said that on the previous version. We put a membrane under the butterfly key switches, and then like within a week on that MacBook Air, my E key was busted. So I'm not sure I trust Apple in the keyboard department right now based on my personal experience. I had 2 laptops now suffer from it. I read an article as well today. Maybe you can look it up. Type MacBook Air keyboard problems. There was another article written today of an individual experience. Yeah, Apple lied to me about the MacBook Air. Click on that one right there. Yeah, so this is via ZDNet, and it's a tech reporter who himself, this just came out May 19th, who himself was like, it's not going to happen to me. How common can it actually be? And so against his better judgment, he bought one of these MacBook Airs, and his was busted, again, in a very short period of time on the latest MacBook Air. Even though he went into the store, and you can read this article, it's somewhere in there. Yeah, so he had a conversation in the Apple store. Here's what he says. I hear people are complaining that these keyboards don't work very well. Haven't there been problems with dust? And the Apple Store saleswoman, it's the opposite. She explained what she meant by the opposite. There's no way dust can get in there because they put an extra layer of plastic underneath to make sure it doesn't. So this is the official line in the store, but now we have all these experiences outside of the store where people are having these issues. You really don't have to research too far and wide to see how widespread the issue itself happens to be. Apple hasn't officially put any kind of number on it, but our just minor, tiny little case study here in the studio, and actually other places have done it as well. I think we referenced it in a previous episode. Was it Basecamp? The founder or one of the employees at Basecamp, which is a startup, they have purchased a large number of MacBooks with butterfly key switches. They did their own internal survey to see how many keyboards were affected, and they found half. Go back up to the headline there, Will. Nearly half of the 3rd gen Apple Butterfly keyboards at Basecamp have had issues. So again, everywhere we can get real numbers and data, whether it's here in our studio or via these surveys like this one at Basecamp, it looks like the problem is just way more widespread than Apple wants to say. I don't know what their plan of attack is. Apparently they're repairing them, but is that really a solution? Right? If you're without your laptop, has anything been solved there in that situation? In my opinion, not so much. You expect to hold on to these things potentially for a while. They are expensive devices, and this is a component which is just, it's very important on a laptop. The keyboard has to be able to hold up to a little bit of usage, and it doesn't appear to be the case that this one is. So anyhow, that was a little sidetrack. Apple does have some powerful laptops. So if you're willing to deal with the potential keyboard issues, or maybe you hook up this MacBook Pro to an external keyboard or setup at times, Will's showcasing my E key difficulties on the original video. Anyhow, if you have a high threshold for potential problems and you're cool with taking that risk, and you really want a powerful Mac notebook with an 8-core CPU, well, you can go out and grab it anyhow, but it ain't going to be for me.